Hey everyone! Talks about the alternative version of Spider-Man 3, also known as Sam Raimi's director's cut, have been circulating since probably 2007, when the movie was first released in theaters. Spider-Man 3 wasn't liked by anyone back then, not by critics, not by regular viewers, so it immediately started receiving a lot of criticism. It later became known that not only did the producers cut the film, but they also didn't allow the director to realize many of his creative ideas, forcing him to insert unnecessary plotlines and characters disliked by Sam Raimi himself. That's why fans of The Friendly Neighborhood are so interested in the question, was the director's cut of the film better than the theatrical one, and whether it addressed the problems and plot holes of Spider-Man 3. Now I propose bringing together all the available information about the cut content of Spider-Man 3 and systematically supplementing the film with each deleted scene and concept art discarded from the movie for absolutely unclear reasons. After that, we can accurately answer the previously posed question. So, let's go! So our story, just like in the theatrical version, begins with the demonstration of Peter Parker, who has changed in the previous movie, confident but blinded by his own fame and the success of being Spider-Man.
People really like me.
Hey, stick around, it's gonna start again in a couple minutes.
New York finally acknowledged its hero, which was more extensively shown in the deleted scenes. In the park, a boy was mimicking Spider-Man, swinging upside down on a rope, but his mom was taking him down from there. Meanwhile, Parker, after revealing his identity to Osborn, when Harry tore off the hero's mask and began to think that Peter killed his father, tried repeatedly to discuss this with Harry. He came to Oscorp to see his best friend. However, Parker was not allowed by the security. By the way, this happened after their unsuccessful dialogue during Mary Jane's performance at the theater. In his mansion, Osborn experienced hallucinations. Norman appeared to him, urging his son to avenge Spider-Man. It was this vision that influenced Harry's decision to inhale the Goblin gas. Just a reminder that simultaneously, we were introduced to the fugitive criminal Flint Marko, trying to somehow get money for his sick daughter's treatment, and an extraterrestrial symbiote that eventually found its way to Spider-Man's home. So the Goblin Jr. took off to seek revenge. A battle ensued between him and Peter. However, the Friendly Neighborhood emerged as the winner, and Harry fell into a coma, acquiring amnesia. This villain was temporarily taken out of the plot. Flint, fleeing from the police, accidentally fell into a super collider, transforming into Sandman. By the way, a few frames were also cut from here. Now they are shown on your screen. The antagonist then headed to Dr. Wallace, a biologist working on curing Marco's daughter. Flint forced him to continue developing the cure, but it required a substantial amount of money, so the doctor requested a certain sum of dollars. Meanwhile, the symbiote at Parker's home absorbed a real spider, killing the arachnid. A symbolic moment. The creators were clearly hinting at the upcoming events in the film. That is, the future struggle between the light and dark sides of Spider-Man. Next, the audience was introduced to another set of characters, Eddie Brock and Gwen Stacy, as well as her father, the police captain. According to the plot, the girl got into trouble and was on the verge of death, but Peter saved her, while Eddie just took photos of Gwen for the Daily Bugle, and at the Jamesons' office, he gave Brock and Parker a task.
Spider-Man with his hand in a cookie jar. Whoever brings me that photo gets a job.
A couple of days later, a ceremony was held in New York to present Spider-Man with the keys of the city for his heroic deed, saving the daughter of the police captain. Peter himself also attended as a photographer. By the way, in one of the deleted scenes, we were again shown a boy in a Spidey costume running up to Parker and shooting him with the toy web shooter. In response, Peter released a real weapon at the kid, then put on his suit and flew to receive the key to the city. He was so blinded by his own fame that he even kissed Gwen Stacy in front of Mary Jane and Eddie Brock. A split-second frame of Eddie's surprise at what he saw was shown in the movie trailer. Suddenly, a sandstorm appeared out of nowhere, sweeping everything in its path. In a cutscene, Spidey saved a child from the sandstorm, then went in pursuit of the villain. Marko, getting into an armored car, began to master his ability there. That was briefly shown in the deleted footage. However, after the fight with the Friendly Neighborhood, he had to go into hiding. Later that evening, Peter had a quarrel with MJ at the restaurant over his kiss with Gwen at the city key ceremony. Mary Jane, true to her style, instantly went to Harry, and then some unclear dialogues took place between them. However, all of these conversations were removed from the movie. After some time, Peter and Aunt May were summoned to the police station, because investigators found the real killer of Uncle Ben. It turned out to be Flint Marko. Realizing who it was, the web-slinger immediately starts searching for him. Days and nights pass with Peter having one thought in his mind, to avenge his uncle's killer. And when the hero finally falls asleep, the symbiote attacks him, and Parker acquires a new suit. Judging by the concept art, around this time the Sandman was robbing a bank, which was supposed to be shown in an unreleased scene. The police reported this crime crime on the radio, and Spider-Man set out after him. A brutal fight ensued in the subway. By the way, a couple of fragments were also cut here, where Peter beat the antagonist with some rubber and severely battered his face. In the end, Spider-Man managed to defeat Marco, washing him away into the sewer. Now the hero believed that he had killed Flint Marco. Then came the moment with the screamer. Well, as for Harry Osborn, after the encounter with MJ, his memory finally started to return. So when the girl came home, he caught her off guard and forced her to break up with Peter. Meanwhile, Peter, seated in his room, seemed to be tempted to put on the black suit. He eagerly stared at the box where the symbiote resided, as if it was calling to him. Here, the director clearly indicated that the suit was like a drug. Once you have it, you can't do without it. Next came the breakup of Peter and MJ, absorbed by Harry, who smiled slyly. So, realizing that it was Osborn who orchestrated all this, Spider-Man decides to settle the score with the Green Goblin. In the evening, he comes to Harry's house, inexplicably lying down on the couch. A fight ensues between the old friends, during which Parker detonates a bomb of Harry's own, emerging victorious from the conflict. However, the problems don't end there. Eddie Brock, in order to get a job at the Daily Bugle, falsified Spider-Man's crime, prompting Peter to provide undeniable evidence to Jameson, thereby destroying the rival's career. Jonah has to publish a retraction. In addition, in one of the deleted scenes, he tells Betty Brant that he never issued retractions at all, but as she later claimed, that's a complete lie. After Brock is fired from the editorial office, Spider-Man triumphantly, and with shouts, soared through New York in the symbiotic suit. On the same day, Eddie came for support to Gwen, but she chased him away, saying she never wanted to see him again. After that, Captain Stacy himself threatened him. Then, in desperation, Brock wandered the city streets, until he stumbled upon Peter and Gwen, who were going to a restaurant for a date. By the way, MJ worked there too. Under the influence of the symbiote, Parker even struck his ex-girlfriend. This was a point of no return. That night, he decides to finally get rid of the parasite, coming to the church for that purpose, where Brock also appeared. As Spider-Man was completely getting rid of the symbiote, it latched onto Eddie, thus Venom was born. Meanwhile, the Sandman emerged from the sewer, regaining a human form. Immediately, he went to check on his daughter in the form of a sandcastle, after which he made a promise to himself.
I swear to you, you won't stop me again.
Because of Spider-Man, Flint has still been unable to get the money for Penny's treatment. Suddenly, Brock appears to Marco with an offer to form an alliance to once and for all deal with the Spider. Realizing that he simply has no other choice if he wants to save his daughter's life, Flint decides to agree. To grab Peter's attention, Venom takes MJ hostage and hangs on a giant web at a tremendous height. Seeing the girl on the news, Parker seeks help from Osborn in the fight against the villains, but Osborn refuses. When Spider-Man swings away, Harry takes their old photo depicting him with Peter and Mary Jane. After him contemplating, the butler approaches him and suddenly begins to tell the guy the truth about his father's death. In reality, Parker is not to blame for his death at all. Everything happened solely because of Norman himself, so Harry decides to help his friend after all. He saves the friendly neighborhood at the last minute. Meanwhile, Flint's wife, Emma, and their daughter Penny saw on TV what Parker was doing, and they decided to stop him. At the scene of final battle was Dr. Phil Wallace. There, he met Captain Stacy and Gwen. Then, the biologist told them that he knew who the Sandman really was. At that moment, Emma and her daughter arrived. After a short conversation with the doctor, they all set out to find Marco. During the battle, Harry perished at the hands of Venom. However, Peter still managed to defeat the symbiote and separate Eddie from it. Yet, all that remained of Brock was a pile of bones, as his skin had fused too deeply with Venom. As a result, the symbiote lunged at Spider-Man, attempting to engulf the hero, but in vain. Parker managed to break free and permanently destroy Venom. However, the battle was far from over. Right away, the Sandman arrived and began to beat Spider-Man. Fortunately for Peter, the antagonist was stopped by his daughter. She pleaded with her father to stop. Phil Wallace informed them that Penny was incurably ill and couldn't be saved. Apologizing to Parker, they left. After Osborn's funeral, there was the customary flight of the spider in the film's finale. In reality, these scenes don't fundamentally fix all the problems and flaws of Spider-Man 3, although they do handle many moments and plot twists much better. This once again proves that the main issue with Spider-Man 3 lies solely in its script. But you, my dear viewers, click on the like button, subscribe to the channel, and write what you think about it in the comments below. We'll see you soon.